We should all be ready. Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parma Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Hayavada Parabrahmane Namaha, Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Let me share my screen. Lecture 145. Okay, can you hear me and can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes,
Everybody
yes. Yes.
Okay. This lecture will be a short lecture and there is a reason for it. Okay. We'll see. If you look at the table of contents, you can go, yes, there are a lot of holes in the table of contents. We haven't done a good job yet. Volunteers have done the work. Some volunteers have done the work and some of them joined together. We need a lot of work on this table of contents. We'll come to that later. So this is the table of contents. Many people found this useful, and I myself look at this table of contents often to see where we are, what are we doing. If there is any particular point I have already explained to people, I can just directly refer to that particular lecture number. So it's very useful. We need to maintain this. And now, what have we covered so far? We have covered chapter 2, Rāmānujācārya. We covered Sthita Prajna, and we gave examples of the Avadhuta sermon, and so on. We also dealt with number of questions, regarding karma, avidya, anadi chakra issues. What does it mean as to be, eternal cycles of this karma, beginningless karma? What does it mean? Then we went to chapter 2 and we explained Ramanuja Bhāṣya, Śaṅkarācārya Bhāṣya. We compared them, and then we went into detail in wherever it was required. So 3 views on the chapter 2 we did cover in a summary fashion, not perfectly, right? Summary fashion. We have covered Śaṅkarācārya Bhāṣya chapter 2, and also why Rāmānujācārya focuses on Jiva in the first 6 chapters. We covered Madhvācārya Sthita Prajna only. Then we covered a quick verse summary of chapter 3. We have covered chapter 4, Ramanuja Bhāṣya. Then came a question on dharma. So we took about 4 lectures to deal with dharma. I hope people have listened to these dharma lectures. They're pretty important. Then we covered chapter 5, Ramanuja Bhāṣya, and Śaṅkarācārya Bhāṣya. We started from 2, 3, 4. They're all done. We now finished even the Śaṅkarācārya Bhāṣya 5th chapter. Not only introduction, we have finished Śaṅkarācārya Bhāṣya 5th chapter also now. But before coming to 5th chapter, there was a confusion, right? That is, people didn't understand, or they were not sure if a particular viewpoint is actually an Advaita point of view, or Advaita point of view, or Vishishtadvaita point of view. So there was a confusion. That's when we changed our gears, and from lecture 78 to 130, we finished overview of the entire Gita by 3 Ācāryas. So this is an important, thanks everyone for even being interactive, open up your issues, be honest, because you raised some issues, we were able to do an overview of the entire Bhagavad Gita in about 52 verses, 52 classes, I think, right? 52 classes. This is an important achievement for all of us. And for those who want to get an overview, So these 52 lectures would be of great value. So what do we do from here onwards is the question. That's why I made this lecture extremely simple, because I tried to figure out where will I start and how will I go further at this point, right? One option is, we have not done much, we have not done justice to Madhvācārya on chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, because we focused on Rāmānujācārya and Śaṅkarācārya in depth. So we could do option 1, which is just like how we did Śaṅkarācārya and Rāmānujācārya, give equal value and say verse by verse, we have to start somewhere in the second chapter, maybe like 216 or something like that, because we have covered a little bit earlier, maybe 216. We can go and start with 216 and go in depth into Madhvācārya, going verse by verse. And there's a lot of discussion in Madhvācārya in almost every verse. Why is that? Can you, even though there are two bhashyas, Gita Vivriti and Gita Tatparya, even though there are two different bhashyas he has written, there are a lot of details he goes into. Why is that? And I want you to think very carefully here. Can anybody answer why there's a distinct difference in Madhvācārya? And what is that distinct difference? Anybody?
In what way do you mean, Namaskaram, Adi? Between Bhashyas or just Madhvācārya? I'm not sure.
Madhvācārya, there is a very distinct difference in Madhvācārya. What is that?
They're always Jiva and Paramatma, they're always separate, they're disconnected always. And that's one thing distinct when compared to the other two Bhashyams.
What I mean by is approach. Philosophically, they are different. Madhvācārya, Rāmānujācārya, Śaṅkarācārya, they all are philosophically different. And we already covered that. But there is a very distinct approach difference between these three Ācāryas. And the given by Madhvācārya to certain texts are very uniquely different, higher. Why? And do you know that? Anybody else? Actually, let me ask. Okay, go ahead, Prashantji.
No, not very sure. I'm not very sure on that.
Okay. See, what has happened is, Madhvācārya brings in some new kind of shrutis, not familiar to other Ācāryas, number one. Number two, he brings a lot of information from Puranas, Brahma Vaivartaka Puranas, Skanda Purana, Matsya Purana, and different Puranas. So, Madhvācārya takes a different view, saying, Itihasa Purana Abhyam Vedam Samupabramhayet. This is a distinct change. You know why? This also gives a introduction to the later Ācāryas. The ISKCON Sampradaya, Gaudiya Sampradaya also takes cues from this view. What is that? Itihasa Puranabhyam Vedam Samupabramhayet. All Ācāryas agree that you have to keep in mind Itihasa and Puranas to understand the fundamental Vedantic texts. All Ācāryas agree. But the amount of stress and deviation each Ācārya puts on Itihasa and Puranas are slightly different. Madhvācārya brings in seriously a lot of value to Itihasas and Puranas. So his explanation of the verses of Bhagavad Gītā takes directly from an extremely similar looking context from any kind of Purana, like Skanda Purana, Bhavishyat Purana, it doesn't matter. That becomes a serious issue. And he only takes it in that way, thinking that, look, the Puranas were written by great people. Vyasa is the main author of the Puranas. So the Puranas have got a lot of, so that is a traditional understanding. Traditional understanding means different rishis involved in these Puranas understood it in these ways. So I will follow only the very traditional way of looking at it. So that is the view of Madhvācārya. So he brings in a lot of Purana excerpts here and there. And what happens is if we want to study his views in detail, we will end up going to this Purana Vakyas and also the Smriti Shruti Vakyas, which are different. Paramashruti, Katyayana, Paramashruti, and similar, different Shrutis he brings. That becomes a guiding line for us to understand the Shrutis and context and also understand Madhvācārya. That is why it becomes a little bit laborious and in detail. Okay. Now, let me come back to the topic today. So the first option is to go every verse by verse, just like how we did in Śaṅkarācārya and Rāmānujācārya. So what do? We go into details of the thought process of Madhvācārya. We'll also look into the Purana Vachanas and the Shruti Vachanas there. That's option one. Option two, what we do is only we will get the highlights. That is the main distinguishing views of Madhvācārya in each of these verses. We will take that up in detail instead of going into every detail of the verse, right? So we will get a high-level overview of Madhvācārya. Roughly, we have already covered a high-level view of Madhvācārya from lecture 112 all the way to lecture 130. That means roughly 18 lectures. We have finished an overview of the strategy, ideology, philosophy of Madhvācārya in an overview manner. So option two will just go into details of these overviews rather than going verse by verse, right? So if we want to treat all three Ācāryas equally, then there will be, like we have to go verse by verse, and option one would be the choice. If we want to just get a clear idea of the major difference regarding Madhvācārya, then option two will be there, where there will be detailed treatment of Rāmānujācārya and Śaṅkarācārya. But however, the Madhvācārya will be mainly understanding the differences in detail. Here we have some summary. That means 112 to 130 has most of the essence of Madhvācārya is already there. But we can go a little bit higher level, or we can go verse by verse. So the options in front of you are option one and option two. Option one means just go verse by verse and finish chapter 2, 3, 4, 5 Madhvācārya, and then we'll pick up the other two Bhashyas and slowly go towards the rest of the Bhagavad Gītā. So in essence, what we are doing is, I'm just stop sharing. Wait a minute. Stop share. So in essence, what we are doing is go into very much detail on even Madhvācārya verse by verse. That's one way to look at it. And what will we achieve in this process? We are already 145 lectures and we haven't even covered 4 or 5 chapters according to all the three Ācāryas. So by the time we cover these 6 chapters, maybe we'll end up in 220, 230 lectures. And then if we do it in that way, 220 lectures for 6 chapters means about 660 lectures to finish Bhagavad Gītā. Maybe this would be one of the most detailed analysis of Bhagavad Gītā on the internet. I was looking at YouTube and trying to find different viewpoints. Of course, each of the samsthas, Paramarthananda and others, and so many other Ācāryas, they have focused hundreds and hundreds of lectures on Bhagavad Gītā, no doubts about it. Most of them are single Ācārya views. They are not comparative views. Almost all of them. It's very hard to find a comparative view on the internet today. If you find, let me know, because I will use it as a guideline, or maybe we should stop and just use a comparative already done work rather than spending so much time on it. So what are your thoughts at this point? Let me start with the first few people on the live today. Later on, what I will do is I'll poll the questions on the channel, that is the Gita Telegram channel, and let's get an understanding of whether you really want to go through 660 lectures on the Bhagavad Gita, or get an overview of Madhvācārya. That way we can reduce the number of lectures from 660 to probably about 500, 550 lectures or something like that. That's the option. What do you want to do?
I would, this is Prashant. So I would personally like to listen to all those 660 lectures. But if I would also again go with everybody else, my colleagues here. So if everybody else thinks that it is too far, then I would be okay with the shorter version as well. But as we had already gone through the overview of Madhvācārya and other bhashyas, it would be better to have a detailed discussion on all the three bhashyas.
Okay, all right. Next, anybody else? What do you feel?
My thoughts are the same, 2 to 5, like we did Śaṅkarācārya Bhāṣya and Ramanuja.org.
So we give equal priority to all three bhashyas, yes, and then go in depth, right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Then anybody else? Anybody else disagrees?
I also would, I'm mindful of your time and efforts. It all depends on your convenience as well. Yeah.
No, actually what I thought was, think from a different perspective, life is short. And if I have to thank all of you to give me, because you've given me a platform to think and understand. It's a lot of study for myself, and it's a lot of value for me. Yeah, there will be a lot of time. Okay, but what do we leave after all these things? Suppose 660 lectures are over. One thing is for certain: if we really have a very well documented table of contents, and in fact in details as to what questions are answered in what lectures, that kind of detail, if we create and leave it on the internet, this would be of great value for people who want to go deeper into research of comparative view of Bhagavad Gita, right? So if you look at it, I think it has got a lot of value. So you're giving me the platform, and everybody, I'm sure our Ācāryas and Sriman Narayana, Sri Krishna are all helping us to take this further. Otherwise, this would not have happened at all. Many things could have gone wrong. So I am okay to spend time. It's okay, and in fact, it's easier for me to go verse by verse, because if I have to go summarize, I'll have to work a lot harder to summarize. So it's not difficult for me. Option 1 is fine.
This is a great yajna. So again, yeah.
Adiyan.
Solunga.
நீங்க இவ்வளோ கஷ்டப்பட்டு எங்களுக்கு சொல்லி தரத்துக்கு கொடுத்து வச்சிருக்கணும். பகவத் சங்கல்பப்படி நடக்கும். நம்ம டீட்டெயிலா கொஞ்சமா கத்துட்டா கூட டீட்டெயிலா கத்துக்கிறதே நல்லது அப்படின்னு அடியேன் நினைக்கிறேன். நீங்க இவ்வளோ கஷ்டப்பட்டு சொல்லி தருது கிரகிச்சுக்கிறது எவ்வளோ அவளுக்கு பகவான் அனுகிரகம் இருக்கோ அவ்வளோ கிரகிக்கிறோம்னு நினைக்கிறேன் அடியேன்.
Good. We will do option 1 then. We will do option 1, and I will make an announcement on a. I just keep in mind, this will happen in January. In January, I will start Upaniṣad series as a parallel. Parallel abdina Gita continue ande irukom. We'll continue with Gita, but we will start Upaniṣad series as another class. So that's the plan which is being thought about. Hope that will be of value. And so timing is an issue, right? Weekend da mudiyum, most people can only focus on weekends. So I have to pick up one more time slot to do the Upaniṣad. One possibility is if everybody cannot be live, cannot attend live, they can listen to the lectures recorded. So what my plan in the second parallel view, is to understand Upanishads according to three Ācāryas. So three views mainly, in depth. So that's what we are planning, and that will happen probably from January. I'm just giving some time because I have to prepare for certain other things. That's why. Sudarshanji, what do you think? Option 1 is fine?
It's good, Ji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Option 1 then.
As far as Upanishad, I was thinking, Ji, if you can tell us, like, so before the class, okay, we're going to discuss between the first to the fifth verse, or like the eighth verse, or something like that, and then at least if we can, all of us who are attending, if we are expected to just get the general meaning of it, word by word, and so just the straight meaning, not the actual commentary on it, and so then we at least walk into it with some degree of understanding, so that like it's not too much taxing for you.
Definitely. I can definitely do that. Don't worry, because Upanishads are easier that way, in the sense that we know that we are starting with Ishavasya Upanishad, and it is only 18 verses. So you can't go wrong, and it's just like first few verses like that. We'll go step by step, right? And interestingly, the reason why I'm thinking of the Upanishad says, in the HUA, that is Hindu University of America, I just finished one quarter where in 13 or 14 lectures, which was like 26 hours, like double 2 hours a lecture, 2.5 hours, maybe 25 to 30 hours, we finished all the bhashyas, 3 bhashyas on the Ishavasya Upanishad. That was a little bit intense. Even if we take 30 lectures, 10 lectures per bhashya, it's an amazing experience. And what we only had less number of students, but thing is, all of them enjoyed it. They could ask any question, and it was a very, very unique way of understanding these 3 views. So that's why I became enthusiastic and said, okay, yeah, we should do this. Because if we do Upanishads are the cornerstone of our entire Hindu thought. And they're thousands of years earlier than many, many other works like Puranas also. So and getting hold of a strong view of Upanishads is absolutely important. So we'll do that, January roughly. But we'll continue with the Bhagavad Gītā. You know, I took 6 months off pretty much for different reasons. So now we're back and geared up at this point.
I would be happy to attend both Bhagavad Gītā and Upanishads. And
Okay.
presently, even Narasimhan Swamin is taking the Upanishad commentary from Rāmānujācārya Bhāṣya.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
that is also
Narasimhan
good.
Swami is focusing mainly on the Rāmānujācārya Bhāṣya. Yeah. There will be some parallel work, no doubt about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Krishnaji, sorry.
I look at it. See, every time I look, Narasimhan and myself learned under similar Ācāryas. I also learned under his father, Dr. Ramanuja.org. And I'm very, very interested in the Trimata views. There is 3 views in sync, and go into depth as to why each Ācārya thought differently in almost from a verse to verse level. I want to go and understand. So that's the only difference between what I do and what Narasimhan does.
Yes. Both would be very good to go ahead with.
Excellent. We will do that.
Krishnaji, just a thing about the Upanishad. Like, so I don't know how many of us in the group is belonging to Krishna Yajurveda. So my understanding is, for Krishna Yajurveda, the Upanishads that are connected, the Mukhya Upanishads are Katha Upanishad, Taittiriya, Shvetasvatara. So I was wondering if we are able to start with, like, because traditionally you're supposed to learn your own Veda first before you learn about the others, is what I was told.
See, Sudarshanji, you brought a very important point. Okay. See, it's perfectly right. What you're saying. So then even among our own, see, you might be Krishna Yajurveda, right? You're Krishna
Yeah.
Yajurveda?
Yeah.
The thing is, I am also Krishna Yajurveda, right? So there are several people. Some people are Rigvedis, some people are Samavedis. Even in our own, network of 100 students who are in our group, maybe 100 or 200 students. See, the way what I thought about it very carefully. Some traditions, what they do is they start the Upanishads from the oldest to the newer ones. The oldest is like Brihadaranyaka, Chandogya, and all. And then they will introduce here and there the other Upanishads, Isha, Kena, Kata, Mundaka. Somehow they're fixed together based on understood chronological age, right? That's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it, when my grandfather wrote his own explanations of about 7, 8, or 10 Upanishads or something. I'm not even sure how many he wrote. Right? When I studied this, he said one thing. Why did Vyasa organize the 10 Upanishads in a particular fashion? The way he has organized is Isha Kena Kata Prashna, Munda Mandukya Tittiri, Aitareya, Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka. This is how he has arranged, right? He says there is a guiding thought pattern which unites and organizes information if you study in this way. So most people study in that way. And even, I think, even Narasimhan studies in a different way. Narasimhan has taken something else, some other methodology, right? Prashanthi, what do you think?
Yes. Now he's using Kathopanishad. Now he is in Kathopanishad. So it's in a different way he's doing it.
He's a different way. What my grandfather wrote is you have to understand the guiding thought pattern. Only then you can. So one question comes up, right? If that is true that the oldest should be studied first, or Swashaka should be studied first, why did Vyasa organize it as Isha Kena Kata Prashna Munda Mandukya Tittiri? Why?
There must be a reason.
Actually, if this question is not easy to answer for me, okay? But one thing, what my grandfather wrote here, I will share with you the English version of my grandfather's Ishavasya Upanishad, which is published. Unfortunately, he didn't have any moneyed people who would help him publish his books. So most of his books are not published. They are in written manuscript kind. I have copied them and I can upload pretty much anything onto the internet. But I don't have printed one, but I will share with you the Ishavasya Upanishad printed view. When we looked at this in the Hindu University classes, we looked at Śaṅkarācārya, and I recently found Hiranya's explanation of Śaṅkarācārya so wonderful. I just got it yesterday. So we went through all these bhashyas and very, very carefully, and we found my grandfather had indicated some very fundamental approach changes, and it was very enhancing. Obviously, it referred to some earlier bhashyas, but the way he picked it up and highlighted was very useful. And honestly, he says how the Kena Upanishad thought pattern starts. Well, how then Kathopanishad picks up. Then why the Brihadaranyaka and Chandogya are later. So there is a methodology to it. That's why we are doing it.
Okay, thanks.
You will see the answer as it unfolds. You will see the answers.
Awesome. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, then what we do is I will just send out the poll just in case for other people to answer and chime in. And then we'll just take a decision from the very next class. I will start mostly Madhvācārya 216, Veda Vinashanam Nityam, or something like that, because we already covered the first few verses of Madhvācārya, even in the overview, quite in depth. Taking it from 216, where Madhvācārya differs from the other bhashyas, is better, I think. We have here and there touched upon Madhvācārya, Sthita Prajna aspects and many other aspects earlier. So coming to 216 would be easier and better. From 216 onwards, we'll go verse by verse Madhvācārya, and it will be pretty interesting. And as far as the books are concerned, I have already distributed my friends B.K. Giridhar's Gita Vivriti of Raghavendra in English. You should have you should all have a copy of it. I also have Gita Prasthana for those people who can read Kannada. I can send it out to you. The Gita Prasthana is one of the masterpieces written by the Vidyapitha. You can even purchase a book if you are in Bangalore. I will follow that very carefully. That is Gita Prasthana, I will follow very carefully. That has probably one of the most well thought out, in-depth ideologies of Madhvācārya's views. So I liked it a lot. We'll do it from next class, 216 onwards.
I have purchased Gita Prasthana from Vidyapitha. It is very voluminous, very huge.
1,000 plus pages. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So that gives. See, one thing good about it is we, in a way, even though we are studying Gita, which is a very succinct summary of Vedanta, because we are using wonderful books like the Gita Prasthana from the Vidyapitha and all, we the Ācāryas' views on the Upanishads and Brahma Sutras are also sort of dealt with here. So we are even though we are using a summary book of only 700 shlokas Gita, we will understand a lot about their Upanishadic views also in this. So that's the advantage of this class. All right, then, this is a short class, so we'll stop here. We'll next week, Saturday, we'll start with Madhvācārya. All right?
Yes, sure. Thank you.
Asmad-Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmad-Parama-Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmad-Sarva-Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Sama-Parabrahmane Namaha, Shri Lakshmi Hayavadana Parabrahmane Namaha, Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. We need the blessings from up there for us to really take this journey further. And if please come forward with voluntary work on the table of contents so that we organize it properly. I have not done a lot of work. I will work closely with anybody who can work with me to finish that. Okay, thank you.